Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the We Know the Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. I hope you have had a lovely week and enjoyed this lovely episode of Traitors Canada that we're here to talk about. Season 2, Episode 5. Honestly, my favorite episode thus far. I thought this was a very fun episode. It had everything you want in an epi, but we'll talk about it in depth in just a second. I'm, of course, your host, the Duke of Deception, Pooya and Brian, ready to break things down with my lovely co-host, the one and only Brian Joseph Scally. Scally, how you doing?
Hello. I'm so good. I sat here to prioritize the eggs and bacon. I'm so excited to talk about, like you said, an episode with all the fixings. Very, very excited.
Very good. Honestly, it delivered on all fronts for me. I feel like we got everything that you want. We got Faithfuls being loud and wrong. We got amazing looks from Kareen. We got a very fun challenge and a very fun twist in this challenge, which is a rarity, but we'll talk about it for the mission. And we finally get our first glimpse of traitor-on-traitor violence, Scally.
Oh my God, I know. I feel like I've been waiting for it for some time. This was not in the manner that I thought that it would come about, but I feel like things are just heating up, which is saying so much because it already feels like this would be a boil for any other season.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. We will be, of course, talking to the next person banished and murdered from this episode tomorrow. So if you have any questions, you got to get them in quick. You can add us on Twitter at Pooyaism, at Brown_Scally, or you can put it in the chat here and we'll make note of it for later. If you were watching along here with us live, and of course, if you have any questions you want us to answer at the end of the episode, make sure you put it in there. We'll see everything. Don't you worry about it. So Scally, last episode, we left it with a cliffhanger that was the murder at first sight. We're not going to know who is going to get murdered. Actually, we know who is the main culprit. We just don't know if they're going to get it pulled off.
Yeah, looked like, and I wasn't even so sure if Michael John was going to get it pulled off because it kept being like, do you trust me? Yes. Don't just say that you trust me. Okay, cool. I do. Like, okay, just like, so you repeat after me. And so I was like, are we just going to count this? But no, he does get it across the finish line. Dylan does say, I trust you, which sadly for Dylan seems to be the first conversation that he's had with Michael John, and will be the last.
It was so sad, but also funny to hear Dylan be like, this is so embarrassing. Because let me tell you, I feel like Dylan is about to be the only person that got duped by Michael John this entire series.
Yeah, not the record I'm trying to set personally.
No.
But at least there's one.
This was a I was about to say an obituary, but a funeral for two of the more fun, chaotic players of the season. We, of course, lose Dylan at the beginning of the episode. Spoiler alert. If you've not watched, I don't know why you're here, but just gonna put it out there. Jasmine going out at the round table. Couldn't have asked for worse for Team Hot Mess here.
I know, it's so upsetting. I know Cedric is like, don't vote me out because I'm a distraction. Vote me out because you think I'm a traitor. But we did lose
a distraction.
Do you want to say distractions for the traitors this week? Feels like we lost two big characters, and I am in mourning.
Very much so. We also did get to see coffins this episode, so kind of a very themely time for everything to fall together. But Scally, we have to talk. So we'll talk about the beginning. So we get to breakfast, and the vibe at breakfast is very interesting because I feel like Cedric is still seething from the votes he caught the night before, and he's not doing a good job of hiding it at all.
No. And I don't think that this is necessarily the playbook. I feel like we saw Kirkland last week take the approach of, my name is above the radar, so let me calm down a little bit, try to fall back off. But Cedric is going to instead break the radar by just going ahead and telling everyone why it is everyone else.
Yes. I did get a good kick out of this because Cedric is not mad, but he's like looking for revenge, but also he's playing detective. And when a loud and wrong Faithful plays detective, it's very fun because Jasmine comes in a part of the third group and goes, listen, I was anxious to come in here. I need to share my thoughts before this next person comes in, and says, I've been doing some investigation. Lauren is a traitor. I know Lauren is a traitor 100%. So when she comes in, keep that in mind. And then Cedric, in the back of his mind, is thinking, how do you know Lauren's going to come in? How are you that confident? You must be the traitor. Got it.
Yeah. Well, I know that Cedric earlier, and I think it was in confessional, was like, I think Dylan's on my radar. Like, that's who I think. And so I feel like a lot of them are just throwing their susses around, and it just so happens only because I would say it's confirmation bias, basically, for Cedric here, that he thinks it's Jasmine, and this is going to be one more reason that he uses to attribute the traitorship role to her. But yeah, I don't know if it's the most solid evidence.
Well, it feels like that the old confirmation bias when you're looking at someone and you want it to be true, because if you're Cedric and you're looking at Jasmine as a potential nominee here, I think it makes sense if you're looking at it from his lens and you're putting together, yeah, how would you know she's coming in? Or in the car later, how would you know that the traitors were the ones that, oh, well, that one I feel like he kind of like rigged together to make it fit for him. But I feel like confirmation bias is honestly the faithful's biggest enemy on the traitors. And here, when you're looking at someone, you're going to be looking for all the clues for that person, which allows the traitors to go under the radar and get avoided, because as long as they're not being looked at, no one's trying to confirmation bias them out of the game.
Yeah, and it feels like this happens so often on the Traitors, where they say basically, we gotcha. You had a slip up and you said something that you would only know if you were a traitor.
Right.
And usually the traitors are the ones like, can't wait for Dylan to get here. Nobody take this seat because I'm saving it for Dylan because he's definitely coming in today. And I feel like that's the more sus look, in fact.
Yeah, I feel like if you sugarcoat anybody coming in for sure and they don't, that's almost worse than you sugarcoating someone coming in and they do, when again the odds it's almost like more impressive to correctly pick the person who isn't going to be there and say you're looking forward to them than it is to pick someone who's going to be there
infinitely.
Yeah.
And, I think it was interesting because Jasmine does seem to throw Lauren's name out like very quickly, at least in the edit of how quickly she walked into the room. And so I'm wondering if it's like Jasmine didn't even scan the room to see who's here. Like she automatically was like, before Lauren gets here. So I don't know. It seemed, I can understand the logic and the thinking. I just don't know if it's how I would be necessarily investigating.
Yeah, I feel like ultimately this will be the fun thing about faithfuls that are loud and wrong, especially in this season, is that it's fun to watch, but it's impossible to speculate where they're going to go next. Like I cannot sit here and tell you, well, now I think that Jasmine's gone, this is going to happen. No idea what's going to happen.
No,
and I love it.
I feel like honestly they could be like, wow, maybe Jasmine was right. Let's look at Lauren. Because now they have confirmation that she was not a traitor. And so like, oh, we can go back and revisit the information that she was talking about.
Right. So now we do see Lauren eventually come in, and once she finds out that Jasmine's looking at her, she's like, listen, I'm playing today. I'm ready. I'm playing today, and I'm here to solve things. So if you think it's me, come at me at the round table. I'm fine with that. And we also see some Mike on Mike crime, the first of couple times this episode. And Mike, True Crime Podcast, Mike, says to Michael John, your behavior is sus, man. Like you keep acting like you don't know things about this game. You're answering things very vague, and he's not wrong. We've literally watched different scenes where Michael John will answer the most suspect way to a very straightforward or at least common sense question about the format.
Yeah, which he calls him out on, but also does throw Netta in there too, of like, actually, you do this also. And Netta is like, whoa. I forget who's on the bus, which
relatable. I forget who's traveling with me. Like, that's not the same.
Every single story I tell, I'm like, have I told you this before? I'm like, don't ever remember. So very much relate to that. And I feel like literally anyone could have caught that stray. So I don't think that it is like a legitimate Mike has caught on to Netta necessarily based off of that. But it was funny that she just was caught in the crossfire there.
Well, we did see trying to immediately be like, that's not really a red flag to me, to Netta, kind of like letting Netta know you're good with me. Do not worry about it. We also did see Jasmine earlier say, I know Kira is 100% a faithful. So despite Enoch not being there anymore, we are guaranteed our once an episode somebody saying this, and we got it already out the gate.
Yep. If I know anything, if I would bet my life on one single fact, it's Kieran not being a traitor.
Mhm. To be a fly on the wall when inevitably Kira is known as the traitor to everybody. And it doesn't need to be on the show. If they're all like watching on a little TV screen, like 100 kilometers away from the manor, I want to be there. I don't know how I can go back in time. I don't have a DeLorean, but I just wish, because Scally, with the certainty these faithfuls are talking about, you can only imagine that reaction is going to be amazing.
The perfect edit would be Kira winning, and then we flash back to every single person finding out she was a traitor over the course of the season, and them just freaking out after they had been eliminated. That's what I want.
I'd be here for it. So after breakfast, we do see some more conversations happening. Lauren now is looking at Kevin and Melinda. Feels like Kevin kind of put a wall up between them, which I think is very interesting because Kevin's kind of been a non-factor for the bulk of the season so far.
Extremely interesting. I remember, was it 3 episodes ago, Lauren said like she and Kevin are this tight pair and she's going to choose to trust him implicitly. She's not going to, quote, pull a girline and like mix this up at the end. And now I'm like, is that like exactly what's going to happen?
Let's mix it up now. Maybe. I mean,
yeah,
if they're at the end, Scally, and it is a season 1 2.0, that would be hilarious to me.
It would live. Like truly just cackle if it ends the same exact way.
Yeah, I am very excited to see what this means, because I feel like also we saw a little bit from Kevin talking about how he's going to keep playing an honest and integrity-driven game and just ride that out. This came up when we got the twist in the mission. So I don't know how that's going to fare for him.
I mean, it's worked for other players, but it seems like it's not necessarily working, in the confessionals here for Kevin. Almost said Leroy. Because I feel like his name is starting to come up a little more, both from his former allies at the round table, etc.
I do like seeing some more insight from Mike here, True Crime Mike, where Mike already told us last night that he was looking at Michael, John, Lori, Lauren. He switched out Lauren for Jasmine now. And he says one of the things that really makes him feel this is factual is that he never sees them together alone, ever.
I like this.
Mm-hmm.
I like this thinking, because they'll have time to talk later. They don't need to talk in front of all of you. So they're going to try to be like not associated as a group, especially because if one of the traitors gets a little bit of sus on them, you don't want to be associated necessarily. We've seen people coming after pairs, and even sometimes like the less sus of those pairs going home. So I definitely think that this is a very interesting strategy, and I'm not mad at it.
No, I mean, I think it's a very sound way to look at it, because like you said, they have conclave time. If they don't speak at all, they're fine. Maybe they'll speak a little to make sure they know who's voting where if they're very tight. But other than that, like, it's not a bad way to look at things, especially because a lot of the faithfuls that end up becoming friends are just going to hang out and gravitate towards each other by default anyway. So if you're looking for people hanging out in front of you, it's kind of harder to detect, because then you're looking at like 7 pairs of like, who is it and whatever. They did use this moment to segue into Neda and Kira sitting and having a chat, which I thought was fun. I loved seeing Neda kind of smoothly change the conversation. So what about that car thing you were telling me about? Because someone's played some of these games, the online versions where people can just walk into a room at any time. Thinking on your feet like that is sick. And it's so funny because knowing how good these two are playing and they're kind of going undetected, and knowing where Michael John is headed, it's fun to see these two work together.
Yeah, this was super fun. I did feel like it caught Kira like just slightly off guard, where she's like, we have to change topics, and almost felt like just nonsense of like, yes, I also traitor Mike and Lauren and Jasmine. Like, yes, also in the car, sure. Just trying to say anything so that people would overhear them and think that they're having a normal conversation and not like so Michael John, that murder last night, huh? But I thought it was a fun scene. I liked it.
I feel like I've watched you do this in person before. switch a
Oh,
conversation when the wrong person walks into the group.
You're implying I have conversations that not everyone could hear, and I don't think that's true.
Volume wise, maybe. Content wise, we keep
Not
it
volume.
discreet.
Not volume.
Listen, we go to these very loud public spaces. We all have to yell to get one out of each other, kind of thing, to make sure everyone understands what we're saying.
Yeah, that's true. The 8th deadly sin, loud.
I feel like I would like to give the listeners a homework for this week. Tell us which one of the deadly sins we are. Add us on Twitter at Pooyaism, at Brian_Scally, and be nice about it. I don't know. Do I want to be a sin? No. I would like to know why Aaron is lust, because I have not met Aaron yet, but apparently Aaron is lust, ?
I was like, are these, traitors just trying to be like, all right, like, let's look at this lineup. But I don't know. I think there are like 6 of these 7 sins that I would find out I got and just dead ass quit the show. So like, nope.
Wow.
I don't want these.
I guess it's a fun exercise to think which one you would want. We'll figure it out. All right. So then let's talk about this mission. Perfect segue into the mission here. So Kareen pulls up a little earlier than what people may have expected and splits them into 2 groups. Says, okay, you. And I have a list of, I think, 6 of them. I don't have all of them. But you are going, actually I have all of them. Melinda, Mike, Cedric, Aaron, Lauren, Jasmine, and Nick. You're coming with me. The rest of you stay put, hang out. You're fine. We find out that the traitors divided the groups into 2. And this mission is based on the 7 deadly sins. They have assigned a deadly sin to each of these 7 people that are sent away for the mission. Their job is to solve who is who, and there's some clues along the way to figure it out. And that's one part of it, Scally. So far, how'd you like this mission?
I love this mission. I feel like it is social reads. It is labeling people with terms that they may not want to be labeled with, especially in a game like this. And I liked that it gave the traitors like many options of how they could like influence the game here.
Yeah. So immediately noticing there's none of the traitors are in this group. They've all chosen to stay on the other group, which we find out later. This group gets to hang out. They've kind of been sent to this paradise on earth. They have some drinks. They have some nice seating. So they get to chill until Kareen shows up again and says, I'm going to take you each aside one-on-one and have a conversation with you. And in that one-on-one conversation, there's an offer put on the table. The offer is simple. How much money from this mission's prize pot would you sacrifice to get a shield tonight? And no one will know about it. And you can, by the sounds of it, go up to 10,000, basically. Scally, everyone says 0. Everyone's being goody. I don't want to do this. A lot of the logic being, I'm taking this money away from me later. I want it for later, or I want to be, I want to be honest and truthful, whatever. One person does bid, and bids $5,000. Not little money. Because when I tell you, by the end of the night, they're left at 37,500.
Mm-hmm.
This is a decent chunk of the prize pot. Now, what if I told you that the person who got the shield is guaranteed to not get murdered overnight?
Especially when Kareen was just making it so clear, like, no one will ever have confirmation that you did this, because I get the move of like publicly in a mission, like, I'm gonna prioritize this shield because I'm so nervous, but
I'm not safe. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I wasn't sleeping well. This will make me sleep well. Whatever you gotta say.
And no one will ever know. And if you tell them and you make a big show of it, then that might even look worse. It just was so confusing to me. I truly was like, okay, if there was a world in which they all found out or whatever the case, like I could see bidding like a little, but to bid half of the amount for seemingly no gain,
it's a choice. He later, in an attempt to justify it, does say that, well, now we know where the shield is, so we can murder whoever we want. I think we've literally seen this scenario play out horribly for the traitors last season, where they killed in a group that would have had supposed safety with the shield, which then caused everyone to just systematically vote out people in that group until they hit a traitor. So the idea that once the three of you have put yourself in one group, you have to murder from the other group. Simple as. Also, not for nothing, you have to imagine that, let's say the traitors are in the other group, they're still never going to murder from this group now because they don't know who has the shield. They're not going to risk taking a blind stab at a group of 8. They're just not going to do that.
I just think that so many people are playing on, like level 1, 2, 3s of this game where the traitors are not going to take that shot. I think there is some merit in, like, let's say they all were in the sinners group and it's like we have a 7 out of 8 shot of getting it correct, and then we can make it look like the traitor was in there, and then they keep voting out the traitors from there and none of us are in there. So I think that is worth a discussion if you are all on the opposite team of the team that you actually were on, but killing someone from this team when all 3 of you were on, giving them such likely percentages of hitting correctly is madness.
Also, and this probably is for me the issue. Usually in these shows, you have to imagine something like this being put up, someone's going to go max them out. They're going to max bet it to get it, right? If they really want it. So putting down $5,000 is just moronic, in my opinion. I think do 500. 500. That's 100 crisp, gold-colored notes in Canada. They smell amazing. Why not 500? Because, and hear me out, then you have some, when you're trying to explain it to your fellow traders, it's like, I just threw a 500 in. I wasn't sure. I was like, just in case, someone else puts a bet, I can outbid them. 500 is a forgivable amount. 500 will not cause the entire round table to implode. 500 is something that publicly could be like, listen, I'm sorry. I got paranoid. I saw the shield in front of me. I've not been, again, whatever. 500, I think you can get away with a little bit. I think 5,000, you have to keep to yourself. And as Michael John learns the hard way, no one caught on. No one, it got past nobody, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm imagining, like, because there's the classic, like, $1, Bob, give me that $1, just in case everyone else turns it down. And then I'm imagining Kareen coming in and, like, shaving off a little speck of the $500 gold token. So I don't know if they were allowed to bid in anything less than 500, but
that might have been the increments, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This was just like such a curious move, especially for someone who already has so much heat on them. I truly don't see it.
I don't know what happened that caused Mike to decide I want to do this, because again, I just feel like the visual representation of the gold coins getting that's 10 gold coins, Scally, that had to get removed, and people are just watching this gobsmacked once even 2 were off the table. So I don't see it, especially again with 3 of you being in this group. You're not going to murder from this group because that leaves a little. 3 out of 8 is almost 50% shot. Like, you're telling me, was it 8 people? It was 8 people, yeah?
8 people, yep.
Yeah. That's almost 50%. You're taking 1 off the board. It's 3 out of 7 now, potentially. That's not good.
It's so brutal. It's really, really not good. I don't like it. I mean, maybe there is some mastermind play. I haven't heard it yet, frankly. So it would take a lot to convince me. If there's anyone who has an argument of why this would be good, please tell me. But I'm not hearing it. I'm not seeing it. I can't think of it. I think that, yeah, it's a tough look. It's a tough look for sure.
Yeah, this was the after this mission was over, this was the car ride back where Jasmine talks to Mike, True Crime Mike, and talks about how, you could be putting on an act like that you're this detective and you've got these names. They could be wrong, but she's saying it to his face. Now, this is strategy I can't get behind, but it's entertainment I fully back 1,000 times over.
I think that there is a marginal amount of merit in being like, yeah, and like, we're all talking about you, Michael John, but it couldn't be you, right? Could it? Like, trying to get the, like, you're under fire right now. How are you going to react? Like, are you going to be able to maintain composure, or do you start getting real sweaty? So I think there, but I don't think it's worth it, because ultimately he does have the power to just go ahead and either vote you out if he's not a traitor, or
Mhm.
vote you out or murder you if he is a traitor.
My favorite interaction in the midst of this stuff was between Lauren and Aaron, where Lauren talks about how Netta's kind of quiet, but isn't giving me mastermind vibes. I'm not getting mastermind at all. And Aaron's like, you know what? Same thing for me, but Kira instead of Netta. And I was like, they're in the dark, Scally. They've lost the plot a little bit.
Look, it just doesn't surprise me because we've seen Netta do this to a cast before. Like, come in completely unassuming. No one thinks she's all that threatening, and she is orchestrating all of their evictions for a season. Like, that has happened. So I've seen the playbook before. And the other part of me is seeing that happen, yes, with Netta, but also with Kira. And even though they're sussing Michael John, they still can't get everything together. Is this like in contention for worst group of faithfuls? And how much longer do we have to go?
Let's see. Let's open the trusty graphic here to see how many people have been taken out of the equation here, Scally. So by the looks of it here, we have about 1, 2, 3, 6 people up there, 3 people there. That's 9 plus 3 more. That's 12. So almost half the group is gone now, and no traitors have been removed. It's pretty bad, especially if they get Michael John out. Where do they go next? Like, it doesn't look like I feel like they are looking at the silent players, but the wrong ones. I think Nick's name comes up quite a bit this episode, so watch out, Nick. You might be in trouble. But I'm not feeling like they're gonna piece it together. At least right now, I'm not. So that's a worry. I want to talk about something, actually, Scott. I want to take a quick aside here. So we have gotten a lot of this question. I've seen a lot of this conversation on Twitter with regards to Netta. And, oh my God, how can they not think it's Netta? Netta is incredible. This mastermind, BB can royalty. How do they not know? I would immediately look at Netta. I think one of the things we're definitely noticing through the exit interviews is that not all these people have watched Big Brother Canada. And then to add on top of that, BB Can 2, which is 10 years old. So even if they became a Big Brother fan 5 years ago, they would not know who Netta is unless they've gone back and watched the other episodes. The second thing is, and I think there's a key difference. You just talked about Netta's game in BB Can 2. Unassuming, quiet, gathering information, makes the run midpoint, dominates, takes over. We're still at the early stage, getting to the midpoint now. And what's Netta been doing? Socially, just building bonds, getting connections, trying to keep Kira at arm's length, kind of keep eyes on Kira, kind of try to ring Michael John in where she can. And I think the difference between Netta and, let's say, a Dan Giesling, who was a traitor on season 2 of the US, and how that's going, Dan's game is talked about as such a, not like, obviously we know he's capable of doing stuff in the shadows, but his legacy has really kept him up there no matter what. And people expected it. And this was a full group of reality TV people who knew each other, at least to a certain degree. Whereas here, Netta not only benefits from not being known by quite a few of these people, but also has not played that kind of a game, or is not remembered for that kind of a game, for a lot of people that aren't in our sphere, which is working for her great.
Yeah, I mean, with Traitors US, it's also a different ballgame because I feel like the cast leaks a lot heavier.
They probably get a little research in on each other at the very least.
Exactly. So I think that they know who to scout out, and like they cast more people that are in like a similar Big Brother Survivor reality sphere, so they can kind of tattle on each other in terms of how good they are. But I think Netta is one of, if not the only person from that sphere here, from so long ago. And then you have to have watched Big Brother Canada like 10 years ago. And also, if you're just watching the episodes, yes, I think it's impressive, but you still also probably don't know just exactly how dangerous she is.
Right.
So you have to be like a live feeder for 12 years of Big Brother. Like, it's a tall task. I think that people are forgetting how niche of information we all know and are coming in here with. And I think you can hear Big Brother Canada and assume, I think that that's probably what like they kind of should be doing, to be honest, because if they're casting someone from Big Brother Canada, they are either a giant personality, which, you know, Netta's a good personality and I really enjoy her on the show, but they're all talking about how quiet she is in the house, or they're
She puts that energy
strategic.
in the confessionals, and it's been incredible. The confessionals have been killing it. I also think it helps that last season we had 2 BB can people, but 1 on each side. So it's not like you can play the bias of, well, last year there was a BB can person and that person was a traitor. So therefore, this one should probably be a traitor. We don't have that in quite the same way.
Yep.
And I think they've done a good job so far through 2 seasons of not just front loading the traitors as like the quote unquote celebrities, so that that's what people are looking at. I think that's a good way to go about it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. To give Netta her flowers for playing the under the radar game, but also explain why she might not be clocked yet, or ever, if this keeps going this way.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I know I said that it is potentially like an all-time bad group of faithfuls, but they're also playing against some, as we're seeing them, all-time great traitors, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
So it is easy to be spun in a circle by someone who is very good at this game.
And it's also easy to discount the 2 traitors' capabilities when you compare them to Michael John. You're like, well, Michael John is just very bad. That doesn't mean that these 2 are not very good. I think they're very good to have been able to stay as quiet as they have been and kind of let the cast cannibalize each other. And then now, almost out of nowhere, have an opportune moment to feed them a traitor if that time is to come soon.
Yeah, and we're 5 weeks in. Michael John has not come that close to getting voted out. So either
2 votes only, Scally. Only 2.
Either in reality he's average-ish at being a traitor, or the 2 others are so good at protecting him. So like regardless, they're up against a very strong team.
Listen, Michael John said, I've not noticed you saving me. I have a feeling they've been saving him a little bit at least. Or if not,
so too.
Yeah, the faithfuls have been saving him quite a bit as well. But listen, no matter what happens, Michael John, you will always have the fact that you murdered in plain sight and legitimately got away with it. No one's talking about Michael John murdering Dylan. So kudos to you.
I'm kind of lucky that they didn't go with the whole funeral procession theme.
Oh my God, that would have sucked.
Because we were definitely like, all right, like sad to lose Dylan in a murder, but like at least we'll get him for the whole episode when we do the procession. But sad to lose Dylan in that way. But for Michael John, and honestly, I think for like the game structure, this is better.
Yeah. Shall we go to the round table?
Ooh, let's do the round table.
Yeah. So the round table is fun. Because this is when the reveal happens of somebody sacrificed a portion of the prize pot, snitches Karine to the rest of the group. And I loved Lori trying to immediately be like, I knew it. She's like, shh.
Whoa.
Yeah. You're not allowed to talk yet.
I didn't clear you. I still have to be dramatic.
Well, we see Lori shot out of a cannon here, gets shushed. We find out what the amount left on the prize pot is after the 5,000 is removed. And then Lori says, listen, this is going to get me murdered, but I'm ready for this. We have a 1 in 8 shot tonight to take out a traitor, because the traitor definitely took the shield, and we need to just vote in that 8 and see what happens. And Aaron doesn't understand it. Trana also goes, oh, so are you, maybe it's you, maybe you bought the shield so you could put us in this, force us into this scenario. Scally, what did you think of Lori's logic here of taking someone out of the shield group?
I think that it is correct logic. I don't think she needed to say it. Like, it is good logic that doesn't really benefit her all that much. I think that for the people that were cast as the sinners, you have currently a lot of eyes are being thrown on that group just by happenstance of which names are there. And then also because there is a shield and we have to pretend we don't know where the shield is, we have to also murder in that group of sinners. So like, I would be trying to look at that group of saints thinking, all right, if we vote one of them out, that's one more person that like could potentially be killed instead of me at night, and yada yada yada. But for Lori, that logic doesn't really apply. So I don't need, she thinks she needs to pull this spotlight onto herself.
I also think, like, we saw quite a few of the faithfuls talk about how surely there's a traitor there to keep eyes on what's going on the other side. They're not all in one group, which they were all in one group. So not knowing that either, you can't just declare war on 8 people. Like, that's not good for you, even if you are 100% right, and it's 3 out of the 8 people are traitors.
Yeah, and I actually did get the decision of not putting at least like yourself as a traitor in that other group, because again, they were like mostly negative attributes they were ascribing to
Right.
people and yada yada yada. But I think for Lori, I don't know how many eyes were on her before in terms of like a murder candidate, despite not being wholly sussed all that much. And if I was a traitor, I'd be like, oh, Lori's like playing this game in a way that other people are not, and I would be nervous.
I think Lori kind of could be in trouble in the future. For right now, I think Lori's fine. Do I remember this correctly? Did Netta not try and form a bond with Lori? I think Lori's got the Netta protection right now.
Yes, I agree. I think that is what is saving her. And but the thing is, at the same time, if I'm Netta, I'm like, Lori's thinking on a different level than I was thinking. Is she going to clock that I'm the one protecting her? Like, now I'm spinning in a circle because Lori just made a really good point.
I mean, is Lori going to now continue to just quietly look at the 7 people that were on that side? And Netta's one of them. There's 2 other traitors there with her. So we'll find out. We'll find out in the future. But then we see Cedric start putting out this scenario about Jasmine. And he brings up what we had already talked about with the how did you know Lauren was coming in? Also, this thing that in the car, he asked about, well, how did the traitors like put the form the questions? And he says that Jasmine said, no, we just answered them. We just answered them, answering as a traitor.
I don't even feel like we got a clip showing her saying that. It seemed like they showed Melinda talking and not saying exactly that quote. So it kind of seems like Cedric just made this up unintentionally. But
I mean, again, confirmation bias really seeping in probably. My favorite part of this, though, was Trana coming to the defense of Jasmine and saying, if you think this is the mastermind, you are, I'm going to cuss, a fucking idiot. Which, actually, they didn't say the F word was not brought up on the show. I have an issue with Traitors Canada. Maybe CTV more so. I'm fine with you censoring the crude language on the show. I understand that completely. But instead of hard muting the audio, can you put a bleep in there? Because the amount of times I've thought my stream has frozen, only for it to have not been frozen, is jarring.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I don't need like a hard like beep, but like, I don't know, something. We could make something happen.
I don't know. I don't think I have a soundboard. I don't think it's going to work. I'm not going to touch it, but
yeah,
there's ways to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know how, but you know how. Figure it out. Because that would help. But anyway, I thought that was so funny that like if you think this person is the mastermind, you are an idiot. Like there's no way Jasmine is the mastermind. Jasmine is just someone who speaks her truth and is putting her ideas out there, no matter how far-fetched they are. Which I was like, is this a defense or a roast? I don't know, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it almost puts her in a position where it's like, I want to argue that was mean, but also you're helping me. So I don't really know how to proceed from this point.
And then was Trana the one that put out a 4-person shortlist?
Yes. Trana says she knows for sure the 4 traitors in this room are Aaron. No, it's not. Kevin. No, it's not. Cedric. No, it's not. And Lori. No, it's not. So
a rare 0 for 4.
And like that's including herself, 5 people out of 12 that are left. So almost impressive.
Again, it's like we're racking on the faithfuls, but it is pretty like this is kind of like you have the exact same percentage chance of getting all the answers wrong as you do all the answers right, because it's both 100% in each way. So that was funny to me because Aaron is called out and Aaron says, listen, I don't even know who the traitor is right now. I'm thinking it could be Mike because what he's saying doesn't make any sense. I can tell Aaron is playing very nervous now. Completely.
Aaron's so me. He's so me. Of just like, I feel like I'm gonna look stupid and I have a read, but like, maybe not. I don't know.
You don't want to go down as a dummy. That's definitely a bit of you.
Yeah, that would be my concern. And just like even more so than being afraid of looking stupid, just I think in my case, I'm assuming that I am being stupid, which I'm not that scared of looking. I just am like, I'm going to drag everyone else down with me. So, yeah, that is the problem here is like Aaron is not trusting almost any of the reads he has
Yeah.
right now.
So as of right now, we're on the brink of Jasmine getting voted out of the round table. I'm looking, we lost Dylan. We're losing a lot of the big characters. There's one person who's still really not been on the show through 5 episodes. And that person woke up right before the vote. Pac-Man stands up and says, you know what? I'm done playing the nice guy. I was like, oh, snap. Okay, what are you about to say? Pac-Man goes, Michael John, this is the most nervous I've seen you ever. You definitely took the shield. I think you're bad. And my jaw was on the floor. I feel like Michael John is the perfect person to accuse like that because he cannot hide it. That was so funny to me.
Yeah, this was super funny. I like Pac-Man decides he's not going to be the nice guy. And it's like, oh, here's the edit. Like, oh, now you're here. But I feel like, you know what? It was a good read. I'm curious if we will get more good reads from Pac-Man or if we're just going to lose him kind of unceremoniously because it's not a lot.
Based on the Conclave events later, Pac-Man may have bought himself immunity with this accusation at the 9th hour. So we'll get into that. The vote was very, very lopsided. Not a lot of not a lot of entertainment in any of the voting confessionals here, but overwhelmingly, Jasmine is voted out. Cedric catches 5 votes next, and then we had 1 vote for Aaron from Trana.
Yes, yeah, and to the point where I feel like this roundtable was probably mostly just harping on Jasmine being a traitor because it felt like it was cut very short. That would be my one complaint on the episode if I was going to do anything, is I feel like it was just like, Cedric, no Jasmine. All right, time to vote. Like, whoa, where did this happen? So I was a little nervous there. I do think it was funny that Trana votes for Aaron and being like, well, just alphabetical order when Cedric was also in that 4 that she had listed. So sure, why not?
She's going with the alphabet strategy. Next vote, Cedric.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, or does it stay Aaron because Aaron hasn't left yet? Try again.
It's a good question.
Yeah. We'll tune in next week because I do not think Trana is going to get murdered here. If again, another person who bought immunity, in my opinion, if you name 4 wrong traitor suspects, you should be allowed to stay longer. You really should.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, well, they have about 5 wild goose chases they have to go on before I am coming up anywhere near the radar.
Exactly. Jasmine does say the hot mess has been banished, is gone. I'm very excited to talk to Jasmine and kind of hear her thoughts on her journey here.
Same. I think that we should be in for a good exit interview. I want to hear more about this round table. I want to hear more about breakfast and just, the general Jasmine experience, I feel like was a good one.
100%. Would love to see it again. I'm not going to lie. Put Jasmine on Big Brother Canada when it gets rebooted in the future.
Agreed. I love that she also kind of left in a haste. It was just like, I came here to play as a fun faithful and the hot mess has been banished, and just leaves. Never just and I am a faithful, just to confirm.
No, yeah, we didn't have the separate sentence. It was just kind of if you caught that she said I came here to do my best as a faithful, then that's it, you got it. And we do see Kevin get a confessional talking about how if he survives the night, he's going to come out and push for Trana next banishment.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of distractions, and Trana, while I don't think is the most distracting in that she is a wild personality, she is going off on some very wild theories and pushing them very hard. So I do understand the okay, either she's very purposefully pushing us in the wrong direction, or she's also just accidentally pushing us in the wrong direction over and over. So for Kevin, I don't need to wait until Trana pushes them in the wrong direction towards me.
I think that like you said, I think the key is that Tran is just a very vocal player. And you don't have a lot of those in the Faithfuls right now. Even the more vocal ones were, I would say, the top three are Jasmine, Cedric, and Trana, who are just catching. Jasmine and Cedric have been catching votes and stuff for a while now. Everyone else is relatively quiet. So who's going to vocalize against Trana right now? The Traitors are not going to push because you're not saying our names. Or am I going to think the Quiet Faithfuls are really going to say something? Kevin may have woken up that like, hey, my name's out there. I don't love that. But it remains to be seen. We'll find out.
Yeah, I could see Kevin popping up as like a big voice of the faithful pretty soon. I feel like he's just gonna get to a point where it's like, all right, no one else is gonna do this. Like, all right, like I gotta someone's gotta say something.
Right. Well, let's talk about the little bit of what happens after the fact. So Gale feels like, you know what? I think a traitor lied today. For the first time ever, I got bad vibes from Michael John. So that's one person independent of anybody else saying Michael John's name now. And Kira tells us in confessional, it was so Michael John. I can tell Michael John took the shield. It's obvious.
Yeah. And you have to think like if she's picking up on it, like probably some other people are too. But she is the one who is like the most definitively sure.
Which I want to give Kira the flowers there and give her the credit. I'm not in the room, so I can't tell because not everyone saw it, but a few people have caught on now. We saw Gale bring it up, Pac-Man bring it up. Mike has noticed it from earlier. But this was fun that Kira's about to find out soon anyway, but already knew. Didn't even need a second opinion.
Yeah, I wonder if there's almost any merit in Pac-Man saying the reason he suspects Michael John is because like they were all like away from each other for a little bit. Michael John took the most time, and it was like the most shook he's ever seen him. And I would think that the most shook he would ever be if he was a traitor is right after he found out he's going to be a traitor. So I'm almost like, is this new bar of the most shook you ever been, meaning that you were not having something more shocking happening to you early? But I think I more so would be like looking at this and looking at the reaction from earlier and seeing if they start to line up.
Well, I don't know. I feel like in the very beginning, like when you are picked to be a traitor, you are anticipating the idea that, especially if you ask to be, you're anticipating that idea and you're starting at a zero, very surface level. No one knows you. So all you got to do is be like, kind of nod along, maybe a little bit. Just don't grab your water. Don't rub your hands. Just kind of neutral. So he may have just achieved that no problem. I think that what happens with a lot of people is that once people have said your name a couple times, once you have kind of, not a best way of putting it, but humanize people that you're about to murder and take out of the game, I think that's when you start wearing it more on your sleeve if you can't hide it. And Michael John was like, I was just sitting and waiting for you guys. I wasn't doing anything. It's kind of like the sitcom trope of someone eats the food that was for you in the fridge and like, who ate my food? It's like, it wasn't me. I don't even like that. And it's like they got it on their face. Michael John got it on his face. It's all over. It's smeared.
Yeah. We should really figure out who did that. That was awful.
Yeah. Eat your snack. That's your thing. That's your private treat, though. How dare they?
Whoever did this, we are all really mad at you.
So good. All right. It's time to go to the Conclave because Netta opens it up with, did any of you take it? Like, who took the shield? And Michael John is caught out. And Kira's like, I knew it. And then Kira becomes a different person. I have not seen this. Kira's been a very loving, friendly, kind energy the entire 5 episodes. This was villain Kira, and honestly, hero Kira, villain Kira, love both.
Yeah, super fun for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the first big mistake Kira's made in this game.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
It makes me nervous. I think that the comfort of the Conclave, I think, can be a little disarming in like, all right, we can just like let it all, like let our hair down. We can be our true selves here. And the real answer is no, you can't. You can't be your true self. You're still lying to these two people. And I think Netta knows that and has been doing so. I think that Kira was under the impression that they were not until this point, seemingly. And I don't know if that is 100% it, or if it was just this was so overwhelmingly frustrating that we have to just like, I can't help it. I need to tell you exactly how I feel. But I think that this was not the optimal play, unfortunately.
I think that this kind of confirmed what Netta always knew, right? Netta has kind of seen Kira as a formidable rival from the beginning, and now has seen something that she believed possible. Kira does have this, like, I'm not taking any crap side to her. And obviously, Michael John being the recipient of it makes it not as bad of a move, because it could have been worse if it's another player. But to get a first-hand shot at this, again, this is kind of like the safe space, right? The Conclave is supposed to be where you feel the most at peace in this manner. The fact that you are not feeling this way in here is not good for you, is not good for Michael John. Netta is chilling. I think Netta is kind of seen as the ally for both people at the moment. And I think she kind of, in a weird way, I think Kira up until this point had the leg up. I think Netta kind of edged the lead now for me. Still too early to tell based on how we don't know what the rest of the day's events are going to be. But right now, that's how I feel.
I agree. I mean, I feel like Kira gave Michael John full license to throw her under the bus tomorrow. Because what does he have to lose? Like, it is, I am on my way out. Everyone's just like, if anyone suspects me, and if they don't, Kira's apparently telling me she's going to push sus on me. So I'm gonna do that to Kira. Oh well.
Yeah, we've seen this happen in Traitors past, where a traitor that's about to get banished, last vote for them, they write down the name of a fellow traitor, and then all it takes is one person to put together, like, was that like an indirect sign of this is the person who I feel betrayed by because they're a traitor too? And if he puts down Kira's name, and right now Kira's given him full reason to do so, that is not good for you. I do trust Kira's social abilities to get out of it in the event that that does happen, but I think you never want your enemy to know you're coming. You know what I mean? You want them to just falsely think they've got you, because right now Michael John has nobody else. So if he thinks he has you, at least he'll keep you safe and not talk about you or think we're a team. Now he knows he doesn't have you. Now he knows that, okay, so in order for me to feel the Conclave is safe again, I need to have her leave.
I think that it's complicated.
Yeah,
for sure. I think that when you feel like as a traitor, your back is against the wall and you're looking for believable options of who you could throw under the bus, the most believable option in your head is probably going to be another traitor, because you know it to be true and you've been playing with them. You can figure out like the reasons because you have been observing them probably pretty closely as well, and like not looking for other signs in other people, because why do you need to look for signs in other people? You know it's not them. And so I think that even if subconsciously you would default to throwing another traitor under the bus, and when she basically gives you permission to do that, I would bet tons of money that Kira comes out on top over Michael John. But even if you just throw that little bit of doubt in people's heads that was not there before, it is, you know, just going from 0% to even 1% of sus on Kira is awful.
It is. At the end of the day, we've seen Michael John when he's under scrutiny and under suspicion. We haven't seen the I've given up Michael John who knows he's about to get voted out. And all you need is for him to change demeanor, kind of be like, I'm disappointed, whatever. And then that might make people look at you this way. Now, anyway, after all of the critical microscopic analysis we did, let's talk about how fun this was, though, because this was my favorite scene in the entire. This is my favorite episode. We got, and I'm quoting, "You have the worst body language I've ever seen," directly thrown in his face. He starts listing. He's like, "Well, listen. I know I messed up. We still have to get to the murder." He's like, "Oh, who do you want? Who do you want to murder?" Mike. Okay, because he clocked you. Cool.
Gail, because she clocked you, and Pac-Man. Okay. Oh, look, because he clocked you.
So good. They're not. She didn't. She ate him up. She backpacked him, took him away. It's done. She destroyed him. Hopefully not at the cost of her game. I don't think it will be, but we'll see. But like I said, I think these three people now have immunity because Kira's not giving this man what he wants. There is no way she's going to allow it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Netta makes the argument of we shouldn't be killing anybody in the Saints regardless. We also, like, Michael John, you already have sus on you, and now you want to, like, combat another argument of why did the person who is sussing you die? I feel like that's a mistake. So I think it is logical thinking, but at the same time, like, maybe let him dig his own grave if these people work for you to go home.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. We do get a knock on the door, and the episode ends there. So, what kind of shenanigans are about to happen?
I have no clue. I really, truly don't know. Could it just be like Korean, like, guys, keep it down. The hotel's not that far. Like, you guys are screaming.
Korean's like, I'm sorry, this has been the most exciting part of the episode for me. I just want to watch from inside the conclave. So can I come in?
Do you mind if I just sit over here?
Don't mind me. I'm just hanging out in my manor, okay?
But yeah, no. Regardless, thank you to Kira and Michael John, because what good TV that was.
You did us happy. Like, you did us nice. That was so good. Now, here's the situation. I don't know what the knock on the door is. We have seen different twists in the past. I feel like we just had murder at first sight, so it can't be that. We had death row to open the season, so I don't think it's that. This could be the you have to put a short list of people. They get sent to the dungeon or the basement, and they got to chill there for the day. I feel like you're not going to do that at this point. So I don't know. The reality is I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's too late at night and I'm not percolating at my full potential. So I have no idea, but we'll find out next week.
I would kind of live for Michael John stewing in the dungeon all day, but I don't feel like we're getting it.
He's not going to volunteer himself to go there. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know. He seems so game for any of these like random little tasks. So I would not put anything past him.
He was when he thought he was part of a team. Maybe not now. Maybe not anymore.
Yeah, I think Netta could convince him.
That's fair. It depends on how much Netta wants to stick her neck out for that. So Scally, I saw a question that I want to ask you from the lovely audience here. Hypothetically, Tide's turn against Michael John next. So let's say Michael John gets banished next episode. You got me. I'm a traitor. Oh my God. Yeah. High five, fist bump, dap up. Who would Netta and Kira recruit in that situation?
It's so hard. Do you think, I'm going to pose in two parts. I think that Kira's first reaction is going to be Nick. But should she want to? Should she, if she's looking to like pull in an ally, should she take Nick as the guaranteed ally and like pull in a different traitor?
I feel like Nick is the guaranteed ally, but also we heard Nick's name come up a few times this episode. We talked about how some of the quiet people, the traitors, are getting away with it. Kira's the Nettas. Nick is one of the quiet faithfuls that's getting sus for being a quiet person. So there's a world where you recruit him. That way you don't have to lie to him anymore, but also he could go, and if he goes, you won't, it is what it is. So that's possible. It all comes down to what kind of recruitment, because as of this moment, up until this point, Netta wants to keep her traitors intact. I think Netta has realized that in other seasons, it's kind of like playing a game of spades, hearts. The minute you break suit, chaos will ensue. The minute traitor goes against traitor, now it's the culture of the conclave. We have to get rid of each other. So if you want to keep the peace and bring in someone who you want to work with, I feel like someone like Gale is a good shout. That's a good pick from where I'm standing. Alternatively, if you're looking to bring someone to kind of immediately push him out, I feel like someone like an Aaron could be a decision here. Someone maybe... Because also you don't want them to be able to fight back at you. You don't want them to have enough power. So like I wouldn't say Trana because, first of all, Trana's doing a stellar job of being a wrong faithful. Second, someone who's still very vocal, you don't want them to turn on you.
Yeah. So, I mean, we saw Netta has a list of people that she does not want to come into the Conclave at the beginning of the season. And Kira was very high on that list, as was Michael John. And I think that Netta's ideal ally is no one. I
Yeah.
think she would far prefer to not recruit. I don't see why we have to. Like, I'm planning on getting rid of all of them at some point, and the more people have more information on me, that's bad. So, Kira, no, we should not recruit and
Keep
just
murdering.
play it down to us. That's all. You know, me and you. We're the two. We're getting to the end. Why would we go with somebody else? No, thank you. Now, I think if the issue is forced, they have to recruit another woman. If they vote out two men who are traitors, they're going to start looking for that third original traitor who would presumably be a woman. I don't believe we have ever seen where they make three original traitors all the same gender. And I think that
Good point.
yeah, I think that
The
all of the
metagame.
men would become de facto safe and from banishment, and that is not a world that I would want to live in as Kira or Netta, or as a viewer.
Or as viewer. Yeah, I was gonna say correct yourself. Or as a viewer. Yeah. I honestly I feel like for a little bit there, at least for like one round, they can cook just the two of them. There's still so many people that have sus on them. If somehow the pendulum shifts to Michael John next week, Cedric is still there as someone who's annoying people to the point where they want him out. Aaron, I feel like, is going to be nervous enough. They're going to look at him. Nick is going to be someone that I think is going to be looked at. I think Melinda's not out of the waters. I think Trana's not out of the waters. I think Kevin's. There's so many people that could still get banished and you could still be fine. So I think you're probably okay.
Yeah. Melinda feels like final boss energy to me at this point, where like, okay, we're probably going to lose a couple of the loud characters and that are getting more screen time right now. And then like, that's when Melinda will finally get her full edit.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Nick needs to somehow get banished for Netta because Kira's not going to let Nick go. I know that she's not going to want to let on that, hey, Nick is my person. I don't want him gone anywhere. But I feel like, again, with enough people still on the board, I think Nick could easily just squeeze his way. And now that he has a little sus on him, that's even better. And that could be the worst thing for Netta's game. If the two traitors make it to the end with a Nick, that could go sideways. So if Nick somehow gets clipped and banished, that's good for Netta. But we'll see where that takes us.
It almost feels like the best chance Netta has at getting Nick out is specifically this murder, because she still has Michael John. So in theory, they could outvote Kira and just be like, we have to kill one of the sinners. Nick is one of the sinners. He's a little quiet. He's getting sus, but not that much sus. Like, why not? Why not Nick? And so I think that if it doesn't happen specifically this round, which I don't know that it's going to, I'm a little worried for Netta. She doesn't know it's a threat on the board.
Right. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that she has no idea that this is the thing that's in the game with her. Let's quickly look at the list of sinners now that you brought that up. Because, yes, someone from that group is going. We know that Kira's not going to let it be Mike. Jasmine got murdered. Sorry, banished. So Jasmine's out. Cedric is way too suspect to be taken out. Aaron has now been put on the radar. Then we have Lauren. We have Nick. We have Melinda. So... to your credit, Nick is right there. Lauren, I feel like initially had some sus. Who's sussing Lauren right now? Remind me.
It was Jasmine.
Yeah,
who was originally. I do think that her name is around there. We still have teed up the rivalry where, she used to be super close with Kevin and now they might not be. That could just be like, all right, this is where Lauren's head is at before she gets murdered. Or it is teeing up for the future. I'm looking at, I could see Lauren. I could kind of see Aaron in terms of, yeah, he's not really coming up with a lot of theories and pushing super hard. So do we need to murder him right now? But also, he's someone that's not getting sussed a whole bunch.
I'm not mad at the idea of killing Aaron and then having Trana look very suspect. Not as you murdered Aaron, but you were pushing for this guy who was good. You've been pushing for a lot of people who were good. What's up? And that might fuel Kevin to really push towards Trana, which could be a new feud that they might need put ahead of them. I also think for them getting rid of another man here is not a bad shout, because I like what you said about, two men leaving and then them metagaming looking for a woman. That could happen as early as the next round once Michael John goes, where they're like, all right, we got a man. There's a woman now. Let's figure that out. And if the short list is small, then that could be bad.
Yep. Yeah, because there is quote unquote guaranteed to be a woman, and there could be two. Like, you know, there could be one man left, or there could be none. So I think that there's always the potential of people a little bit metagaming it. Should we start going in this direction? So I do think get a man out generally is going to be the better move.
Mhm.
It's hard
What
because
if-
knowing what we know, I think Nick is the best kill on the board, but I don't think it's
Right.
gonna
Hear me out on this one, Scally.
happen. Okay.
The prerequisite has to be a sinner. Getting rid of a saint here is dumb. Like, you just should not do that when 3 of you are in that group. What if you give Michael John what he wants? Give him Mike. Because how many people are going to be like, well, he called your game out early, and with enough people looking for confirmation bias, that might just seal Michael John's game already on his own without y'all needing to do much of the legwork. You might need to maybe grease the conversation a little to one person and be like, Mike was the first person who was onto him, and now that there's just 3 people that said it, Mike just suddenly left. That's weird.
Yeah. I know Mike was getting a lot of heat early. People were not connecting with Mike necessarily. He couldn't find his place in the house. He was getting sussed as a traitor. I'm kind of thinking Mike has survived long enough where if you don't murder him, like, how is he going home? I don't feel like he's getting a whole lot of votes. He just doesn't inspire this like energy around him necessarily. There's always a bigger target.
That's the thing. It's not that he doesn't have enough sus on him. It's that there's always someone who's out sussing the Mike. And if you leave him, he'll just kind of ride it out. Maybe he gets clipped at some point, but I feel like with all the big personalities leaving, kind of like any show, any wrestling, a new storyline has to come to light. And I don't think it's going to star Mike. Mike's going to be a character in it, but not the main. And there's going to be new mains, and you might become the new main, and you don't want that. So getting rid of him now is not a bad shout either. I would wholeheartedly push for this to be the move if Kira had not shown her cards to Michael John that she does not trust him anymore. Because then you could just lull him into the false sense of security like we talked about earlier. But now it's okay, fine. This is the last thing I'm doing for you. You can have Mike. Enjoy.
Yeah. I don't think so, but I can see the argument for.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the alternatives because if Kira says no to Nick, hard no to Nick, Michael John says hard no. Kira says hard no to Mike. Michael John wants, you know what I mean? Like, Mike can't go, Nick can't go, then who goes? They're not. You shouldn't go Cedric. Maybe Aaron goes. I think you got to keep Lauren.
I could see Lauren going here, unfortunately. I don't know. I don't know what, like, with Jasmine going, because who's pushing Lauren now?
No one. Lauren was
like
on Mike's
loosely,
original list and then removed.
Yeah, she's like loosely on some list, but she's always like the 3rd or 4th person they name. No one's coming at Lauren with energy.
No, at least not. Oh, actually, that's not true. Cedric and Lauren still have their thing going. Because Lauren was pushing Cedric. True. Yeah. Jasmine just ended up leading the power rankings this week and got the push from Cedric.
That is fair, but at the same time, like, Cedric will find someone else.
This is true.
It could be you, but he'll find someone else.
I mean, low key, could this be the time to just get rid of Cedric? Because he's starting to hit that status, Scally, where he's kind of loud and wrong, and everyone knows it enough to kind of leave him in there. They've been punished for getting the loud and wrong people so many times now that they have to eventually learn from that mistake and kind of leave him in.
Or are you just getting the wrong loud and wrong person?
Let's keep going one more time. It's kind of like, let's bet on it again.
Yep. Yeah. Like, okay, I've hit 8 out of 10. Like, surely one of these last 2 has to be it. So I don't know. I feel like with Cedric, he just went so publicly against Jasmine. It even was like, if it's not Jasmine, like, I'll go home. Aaron was like, I don't know. I think Cedric's setting himself up in the position where if it's not right this time, he's going to get voted out next. I don't know if I would give up Cedric if I was the Traitors.
I just realized something. If I had heard for 6 straight days some semblance of Kira's 100% a faithful, there's no way Kira's a traitor, why hasn't she been murdered yet?
Yeah.
If
No,
she is so guaranteed that we're not going to banish her, why would you not murder her as a traitor? Why has that not come up?
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like she's super quiet. Like, she seems to be active in discussions, so it's not as if like people are just not worried about her coming for them. She seems pretty active.
Yeah.
That sus should be there.
I did also, to go back to the Conclave confrontation, I really did love Kira, because it was clear Kira wasn't mad at Michael John for like putting sus on them or having eyes on them. It was like, you know how much $5,000 is to somebody who makes like 30 grand a year? Like, that is, what are you doing? Just haplessly wasting money for no reason. Again, can't stress this enough. If he had done 500, Scally, this is a non-discussion.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we already flagged it up really, but it's a great direct correlation for Netta of like, if you are this upset over 5,000, why would you not betray someone for 50,000? Now, I think there are just certain players who value loyalty even more than they like highly value money, and I don't know that Kira is not that person just yet. I think you give her reason and like she could rationalize it, but I would definitely be nervous seeing this.
I think Kira values loyalty to the people she wants to be loyal to.
Yep.
And I think to Netta, that was proven here, because Netta was like, let's keep him in as long as we can. Like, I know he's kind of bumbling around. Let's keep him as long as we can before we sacrifice him. And Kira just made it clear, like, I am not doing that. So I feel like for Netta, who's been looking at Kira from early on, this is kind of the confirmation she needed of, well, if she's just gonna give it up like that, how long does it take before she gives me up and takes me out?
Well, and when she's yelling at Michael John, like, that's it, no more team, like, I'm throwing you under the bus. It's like, what to stop you from doing that to me if I am perceived to have messed up?
Is this okay? This is very interesting, because we did discuss the Michael John's vote out of like, if Michael John puts down Kira's name on the slate, what happens? Let's talk about the other side of that coin, where Kira pushes the hardest for Michael John and takes credit for it, basically, and is now catapulted into like the best detective on the Faithfuls. That is not a
low bar, but sure.
Oh, bar is very much where the sinners got buried. Like, it is gone. That being said, I will never want a traitor to push for a name like that. But if you're Netta, you do not want Kira to have that kind of power, because if they start listening to Kira's word as everything, you're either going to be snuggling next to Kira as much as you can so she does not turn on you, and then trying to figure out how to get her out in the future. Or again, you're hoping for the Michael John Kira connection of like, it's traitor on traitor, let's vote out the traitor.
It's really hard because on one front, I'm like, ooh, I don't really want her to get this credit and to like gain all this potential social standing. Everyone's so happy with her. But at the same time, I need people to be looking at Kira for literally any reason.
Yes.
And if this is that reason, I think I need to take it at this point. Like, I can't have her go this entire game without any reason to be sussed.
Right. It's kind of like the but why isn't she getting murdered? Like, if she's the best detective we have, why isn't she murdered? Or if she's the most guaranteed faithful, why is she still here?
Yeah, well, because Kira has shown very clearly, if she were to get word of Netta throwing her name out even slightly, that bridge is burned. Like, she is digging Netta's grave herself openly. And if Kira still has all of the social standing, I don't think that's going to go well for Netta. So you need someone else to start bringing up Kira's name, and whatever is even giving me a 10% chance of that happening, I'm starting to look at those avenues a lot more here.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. I feel like we're set up for a very fun next episode. Will the first traitor get banished? We'll find out. How will the civil war between Kira and Netta start percolating? That's to be seen. Do they recruit or not? We'll find out. And will the Faithfuls getting one wake them up or give them the false confidence they needed to just further keep doing what they're doing?
I'm so excited. And like, there's a world in which none of this happens and we just lose 2 more faithfuls next week. Like, all of this is on the table and all of it's so exciting.
I can't wait. But this is the end of the road for us here on this recap. Like we said, we'll be back with exit interviews with both of Dylan and Jasmine. So if you have any questions, send them to us on social media at Pooyaism, at Brian Scally on Twitter. Sorry, Brian_Scally on Twitter. Don't forget the underscore. But Scally, where else can people find you? What other things do you have going on at the moment?
Ooh, people can find me on Twitter, as you just named, on Twitch at twitch.tv/bscally, or on the Free Agents podcast, talking to Matt Ligori about the Challenge Season 40, but also some House of Villains every so often.
Love it, love it. You can find me on Twitch as well. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. Twitch.tv, as you can see, /Pooya, which is my first name. Podcasts, I'm in a very fun space with podcasts. We'll have a new 90-day this week, new Masked Singer this week. The Exits, which you already discussed. I'll be on the patron-only show, the final slop of the season, the post-season slop. I'm a guest there alongside Jenny Autumn, joining Rob and Chappelle, so that'll be a good time. And there might be other podcasts from me that you'll see this week. It might be a little busy. We'll see how that goes, okay? So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. We hope you had a good time. We'll be back next week with episode 6 for the recap. But until then, take care. Have a good one. Bye.